Yo, what's going on, guys? Arekkz here. Welcome back to another video for Monster Hunter Rise. Back with another discussion today, and we are joined by a very special guest. Now, for those of you guys, obviously, that have caught some of the discussions, quick update for you guys. Vestmore has now kind of gone on to do some other stuff anyway. So
he's evacuated. He's gone to look after his mama. His mama was not feeling too well, so now he's evacuated the vicinity, and his time is devoted towards making sure that he's okay. And his mum's okay, so everyone...
Yeah, family first. Family first. So
wish a farewell to Vestmore and everything.
Yeah, Vestmore, the meme specialist. So I'll have to work out... We'll have to work out a way to create memes now that Vestmore has evacuated, because I'm not the meme guy.
I don't bust jokes like that, so I don't know,
Yeah. We'll work it out. There might be some different segments in Monster Hunter Monday. But more importantly, we're joined by our good friend Shadowmains, who also makes fantastic Monster Hunter content. So firstly, if you guys haven't already heard who Shadowmains is, there will be links to his channel down below. You guys definitely check out his content. He also streams. He's also a dungeon master, so you D&D guys out there. But Shadowmains, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here today. Looking forward to this.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you're here to increase the beard quota. So I feel like you're on my side of the screen. So the beard quota is pretty strong right about now. I appreciate this. Do you want to just for anyone that maybe sort of hasn't had a chance to sort of catch your content before, kind of just sort of give people a quick summary as who you are, what do you do, what can people expect from your content kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. So hello again, Shadowmains here. I basically just make Monster Hunter content. It's pretty heavy in the streams over on Twitch, and then I've started up YouTube here in the past year and a half or so. And I think just what you can expect from me is kind of some small guides here or there, but I'm really trying to focus on really diving into some quality videos over just putting out videos every other day or every week or something like that, like a lot of small YouTubers do. So I'm really trying to focus on quality stuff and give you guys good quality Monster Hunter content.
What are you trying to say? Ooh. That we don't put out quality
content? I think that's a dig at us.
You see, the difference here is people at my level, they think you got to put out stuff every day, and that's just not the case.
True. It is about the quality of content and stuff like that, and finding a cadence that works for you in general. So that's the tip of the day for the YouTube folks out there that want to become a content creator. Find what works for you, because that's the only way that it's going to be sustainable.
Find what works for you and then just do it consistently. That's the thing. And then always improve. But anyway, we're on to today's discussion because today we're talking about update 2.0, 2.0, 2. Whatever, 2. We're talking about this because obviously there's been a lot of cool new stuff. The update that is, kind of an update, but also more sort of the stuff that was intended to be there at launch. Either way, we got it now. So we got some new monsters. We can now craft a boatload of decorations. What else came in the update? We got the Apex monsters in quests. We got a lot of stuff. So I figured we're just going to talk about it like we always do. So where do we begin? I guess just how's the update been going? 2.6, take it away first. Where are you sitting on the update?
You know those times where it's kind of bittersweet. It's what is that thing when when people get kidnapped and then they fall in love with their kidnapper? They took away the content. So when the content dropped, it felt so good. I was like, oh my gosh, new monsters are stuff that we would have in the base game, such as having that rarity level and having a certain level of decoration. So we would have weakness exploit and all of that stuff ready to go from day one. The fact that it came back in, it kind of felt good. So I don't know how I really feel about the update, but it was... I enjoyed it, if you get what I'm saying, but rationally and logically, if I'm thinking about it, I don't know if it was the best move for them to do, considering it was only a month after release, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I had such a good time, but not too sure about that one.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's sort of like the double-edged sword, right? Because on one hand, because the wait wasn't hugely long, we got to enjoy it in a second wave anyway. But I do think, and it was obvious to see, because obviously a lot of people commented on this when Rise first came out. It was a very obvious omission. I mean, even just even though some of this stuff that is in, say, Rise at launch, used to be a standard back in the day. They never used to be hunter rank to grind and things like that. But now that it's become the standard, there was definitely a very obvious omission. It's I get to the end of the game, what do I do now? Now that this has filled that void, this has given us that sort of loop. It's definitely it kind of exacerbates what was missing in that respect. So, yeah.
I know a load of people are going to be oh, it doesn't matter if we had that content or not because past Monster Hunter games didn't have that. But you always want games to improve, and what was relevant then when for you or Tri came out isn't necessarily relevant to the gameplay and the gameplay structure that we have now with more content being packed into game post-launch as well. Because back in the day, we only had like a couple DLC event quests. We never had like stuff coming out all the time and like all this update cadence as well with like massive gameplay changing like sweeps and stuff. So I don't know. It was fun. I think the main like takeaway from me was like the monsters were fun. I really like Chameleos. Like fighting Chameleos again was banging. He was a banging like fight. I like the fact that there's like rampage skills on the monsters and it was really good. But I would have liked to see a new monster as well. If you're gonna do these updates, they kind of debated us and us like new monsters are coming, but it's just returning monsters. Like it's not new monsters kind of
yeah.
Definitely.
True.
Yeah, I'll just jump in real quick. I think it, we all enjoyed like the base game version, but it did, which is what we said in like our review originally, like to temper expectations, because there wasn't everything that you would kind of want there to be at that point. And now they've like added that in, right? So you have like the Elder Dragons and things to like farm up and that's great. But for me, the biggest things about this update is like the quality of life changes from adding the decorations, like you said, from small things like making talismans like easily searchable in your equipment menu, to fixing the talisman like tables. Like anecdotally, I've had better talisman pools since the update, whereas like 2.6 you haven't.
They broke my table. Take it back, Capcom. My talismans are rubbish now.
How are your talismans been, Shadowmanes, since the update? Have you had like good ones or bad ones?
I mean, I've gotten a couple good ones here and there, but mostly it just hasn't been what I'm looking for. I've been kind of a little bit disappointed with some of my pulls.
See, they did it.
Well,
They swept the rug underneath it. They were like, nope, take it away.
But at least we have all the new decorations. Like, I think it's absolutely huge that they added in the decorations that they did. Weakness exploit, crit boost, type up, handicraft, protective polish, all these kind of stuff that are like integral to a lot of good builds. You aren't completely reliant on your talisman for those, which is nice. So now having a talisman is more like a way to just push it like to the min-max if you have like a near god roll. But it's no longer like as restrictive, but it still is like an important factor. So, and it's still RNG at the end of the day,
Yeah, but it definitely has been like a nice, with the decorations has been nice, sort of bit of even just get like a little bit more diversity, because initially, especially at launch, it was that kind of thing where, I know we spoke about this before Rise came out. I was like, one of the things I'm looking forward to with craft and decorations is it kind of lets you use more pieces. But at launch, when there were only certain decorations you could craft, you again couldn't use many pieces, so you had the same world situation where it's like, there's actually only a few sets I can use right now. Now it's kind of broadened that a little bit. Like, there's quite a few. I've seen so many different people with various different permutations on their sword and shield sets. So, I mean that much has definitely been cool. But some of the monsters. I mean, like Shadowmanes. How have you been getting on with like the elders? Because I know that some of these, especially if you fought them in World, some of those elders were a pain in the backside. But people are quite liking them in Rise. Like, where do you stand on those fights?
So I have always loved like the Teostra fight. It's been one of like my favorite elders to fight.
I hate Teostra
in general. I just really enjoy his fight. I don't know what it is about him.
Wild.
But
you wild.
Kushala has been like the one elder that I just always avoid. It's like Kushala and Kieran are like the two elders that I normally avoid. And Kushala and Rise is actually kind of fun.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's super fun.
Yeah, because
I was surprised.
Yeah,
I was just saying, I was like super surprised by like how good the fight felt and how well it flowed and everything.
I think one of the things they did, because one of the biggest things, and it's even kind of a simple change, like he's still got wind pressure, but it's kind of it's a much more manageable way now, because you remember like in World there would be those situations where you just couldn't approach Kushala. You're just like getting knocked over 24/7. I used to hate fighting that thing, right? Like it's weird, because in 4U I used to love fighting Kushala. Even in like, in it was genuinely World was the first time I fought this monster. I was like, I hate fighting this thing. And then like in Rise he's super cool, and even down to sort of giving him, because like Teostra's always had the iconic like supernova, right? And Kushala's now kind of got its own version of like a supernova now, like with that sort of big charge up, like hefty wind blast thing. So I feel like all of them are almost kind of pretty menacing in their own way. So yeah, I'm liking that. But what about Kushala? How are you finding that? Because not Kushala, sorry, Chameleos, because we haven't fought Chameleos for a while.
It has been a bit. I actually kind of like the Rise addition to it. I haven't seen him steal any of my items yet, which I'm a little bit disappointed by. But I have noticed that whenever he hits you with his tongue, it does look like he steals kind of like your spirit birds almost, or the like the powders and stuff that you get. Which is, I mean, that's kind of neat. I'm sure that's going to be annoying for people who are just going into this fight the first time and just getting completely smacked up by Hung out of nowhere. But yeah, I don't know, man. I've really been enjoying the Chameleos this fight, or well,
Nice.
this game.
You know what's sick? He actually goes invis, like he fully goes invis and like just disappears. Like first time that happened, Paradise was like, "Where did he go? Ah, he's behind me!"
He actually like appeared behind me in that moment as well. But I'm gonna come in with an opposite opinion, okay?
Okay.
Kushala was horrible in World, as was Kirin, right? They were annoying fights, but that made them unique and special fights in a way. It was like, you had to be on your toes, you had to have a tactic, you had to be ready to like flash him out the sky or whatever, you know, whatever weapon you were using to manage the situation. Whereas, like, even Teostra, who is, you know, more of a difficult fight, I would say, for a lot of people, I'm finding that even though they added in these new monsters, and of course I am using like very good mix sets at this point, so that is probably a big factor of it, as well as the Apex out in hunts. If I'm able to solo these like elders and apexes in 5 or 6 minutes just at my skill level, which I'm not even close to a speedrunner skill level, I just think I'm a like average player, maybe slightly above average. I'm not feeling that challenge that, you know, like you say, that the annoyance of Kushala or Kirin was giving because of the mechanics that they had. I feel like they've made them nicer and it's a more fun fight, but because of that, it's lost the difficulty of them. And I was really hoping that this update specifically would add more of that difficulty that I think like me and I think other people were craving. And at first it was there, but now that we've like learned what's changed about the monsters and we've sort of upgraded our sets, like already at that point now where you can just destroy them if you want to, you know?
Yeah, they're meant to be elder dragons that are meant to be like hard, but they're super easy to run by. Like I can literally do everything casually on the side. Even the Apex monsters outside of the Apex hunts, they're literally there to farm. Like Apex Rathian, that is like just a punching bag for everybody at the moment if you've got like a decent build as well. And it shouldn't be a thing where you like someone out there is like, oh yeah, you're using the best builds in the game and you're using these like great builds. In other Monster Hunter games you can still use great builds, but if you don't have the skill there, you will get clapped. Like, and it didn't matter how much damage you're doing or whatever, unless you're using a vampire set, how easy the fight was going to be essentially. So I don't think I needed to essentially degrade like my mix set and whatever. I think it should be about the mechanics of the monster, and they definitely made the mechanics of the monster just easier across the board. Like Teostra Supernova is like tiny now. Like it doesn't. I haven't even
also,
seen
I
anybody
don't
killed by
think
it.
he. I could be totally wrong here, but I've never noticed that, like, you know, when you used to stand near Teostra and your health would just start draining because of the heat, you know, and you'd have to be like chugging cold drinks. Of course, we don't have those anymore. But I was expecting there to still be like some kind of mechanic where if you're close to him, you're getting like burnt, so it's like chip damaging you or something. That because that was part of the fight that added to the difficulty. You were constantly being chipped while you were meleeing him, so you had to forcibly heal before you were in like a one-hit kill sort of zone, and then the overarching dread of a supernova just popping off and just destroying you because you can't run away. Whereas now, like you said, it's smaller, so you can get away in a couple dodge rolls. So just small things like that I've really noticed, especially now that we've put a lot of time into it.
Yeah, no, I mean, because it's one of those things as well. I mean, like, it is also high rank versus G rank, but then again, having said that, World was high rank as well, and there were still some sort of challenging fights in there. I do think, some of the Elder Dragon pressures have been lessened, because as I say, like Kushala, for the most part, you can still stand next to it. There's a couple of times when it will push you over, but generally speaking, it's not as prevalent. I mean, I don't
notice it as much,
yeah, that's the thing, right? So yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, difficulty is definitely not going to be is not like there as much, and I'll be interested to see what they do in future updates, you know, whether this will just be like the standard, because obviously, you know, we got a similar kind of thing in World, but we kind of got comfortable for a while, and they dropped a couple of sort of challenging things, and we're like, oh, I see what you're trying to do here. I mean, keep in mind, Tokuro was behind that one, and Tokuro is especially known for, like, he's the guy behind Rajang and T-Rex. He basically likes to just make people cry, so maybe that's why, but yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do like in future updates. Obviously, we got the next one lined up for we're in May now, right? This month. So whether there will be like increasing steps, or whether it's just going to be this will be like the benchmark. So I mean, again, it's that thing. Like I don't know how you guys feel about that. Like we kind of discussed this in the review sort of thing before, but they definitely said for Rise, the difficulty will be a little lower anyway, because I think again they want to encourage people to sort of mess around with skills and abilities.
Yeah, but there's only like so much of that you can do, right? You can mess around with the skill and abilities, but you still need that like end game, really hard like content to get through that was going to keep you there as well, right? I feel like this patch has brought a bunch of really good stuff into the game, but it hasn't fixed the underlying issues that people have with the game, if you get what I'm saying, such as there not being that much variety in the monsters, there not being the game being kind of easy, and a bunch of other like things that I can't think of at the moment.
And on top of that, because I've been seeing people say that they've added in all these new Elder Dragons, there's all these new weapons and stuff, but what you'll actually find is a lot of the sets that people will be using are still going to be the same weapons from before the update. The Rampage weapons obviously got buffed, so the Rampage weapons are still really good, but you still have things like the Tigrex or the Diablos weapons being like really solid, really good raw weapons, and certain other elemental options are shining over some of the new ones. At least that's what I've been reading some people say. So I think some people are also like, oh, they added in this new difficulty in these new monsters, but you don't necessarily want to be using their stuff right now, like at this point in the game, which is just a bit of a shame,
That being said, Teostra and Blast, that is some tasty stuff. I like that. I like that it does more damage, like depending on the monster that you're actually fighting, like and yeah, it is fun. There are some fun builds that you can make if you're going like off damage builds as well, and I think guys should definitely try that out so you can get some fun from doing that, like a poison build, because poison lasts twice as longer if you're using like the Camellia stuff. There's like a bunch of other sets, but I don't see how. I think people really like that stuff fitting into the meta as well, so it's kind of like you have like these side grades to choose from when you go into a hunt, so you kind of want it to fit in with a bunch of stuff, but it's a bit weird right now in terms of like how the meta is, because it's just the same stuff that we had in the base game, just amplified even more, rather than this twist on playstyles or anything like that.
Yeah, Shadow, have you like used anything, sort of any of the new sets or anything? Is there anything that have they changed your builds at all, or are you still in a similar position?
I'm pretty much still in a similar position. I mean, I've been running mostly Sleep Hunting Horn here recently, and I haven't really had to change anything out. I'm still using mostly base armor sets that came. None of the elders have been implemented in my stuff yet, so yeah, I'm pretty much.
I like to hear the hunting horn though, Shadow. The hunting horn, mate. That's what I like to hear.
Hunting horn. It's become
So
more popular in this version.
Yeah, true. So what do you like? So obviously now that you've kind of been through the update and stuff, because obviously everyone's kind of got different flows, and like I mean I know the main thing now is like the Lazurite farm grind and stuff. But like, what do you find yourself doing most in the update now? Like, are you fighting Apexes or are you fighting Elders? Like, what's kind of giving you the enjoyment at the moment?
So I'm gonna be honest. I've been mindlessly just doing stuff. I have like no goals right now. I think it's because the way like the content is trickling out and the way that things are coming out. So I don't really have like any goals to continuously push me forward. So it's mostly just been farming parts and trying to do like trying to get like good talisman rolls, and that's essentially been it. Like I've gotten. I'm gonna evoke the desire sensor here. Because I don't desire any parts, I've been getting really good stuff in like the end of hunts.
He's done it. He's as of today's discussion, he has no more good hunts, no more good parts.
Yeah, it's gonna end. But that's the trick, guys. Desire nothing, and you will get everything.
True.
It's because the gameplay is so fun anyway, and I think that's where they kind of hit a home run, right? With all like the Silkbind attacks and all of that stuff. You just kind of want to go out and hunt. A lot of the time I find myself doing that as well. Like I don't have like a objective. I just want to go out and hunt this monster or test this build or do whatever. I just go out there and just have a bunch of fun and just try to flex on the monsters and see how fast I can do this, or how
trying out other weapons and stuff.
Trying out different weapons and stuff like that. So it's super fun, the actual game. It just needs a little bit of tweaking here and there and a little bit of this.
Needs a little bit more.
Yeah, just a little, little salt on the top.
Yeah, we've said this before, and I want to say it again, because like you just said, there's like this new endgame loop now where we're not farming Blood Run jewels anymore, we're farming Lazurite jewels now, and still just, melding talismans. That is the sort of end game at the moment after you've made your sets and farmed through monster parts. I'm still waiting for a quest that just gives you like 2 or 3 or 4 talismans at the end.
Yeah.
Kind of, please. I don't want to be melding forever. I just want to do a quest, check the end screen. Oh, I got a good one. Oh, I got a few bad ones. Do the quest again.
Yeah.
Is that because...
I am honestly... Yeah.
Is that because they didn't give like the Apexes any armor sets? I feel like that's a super missed opportunity, right? They could have just like recolored some of their armor sets and kind of had them as beta sets, like beta and alpha kind of sets like they did in World, so that you can essentially get like a whole new mechanic on those ones, and they could have added in like something just to make it a bit more viable for you to be farming a monster or one of the Apexes and stuff like that. So
I genuinely do wish that, because I like, when they were like, oh, they're going to be in their own quest, like, given that basically everyone's making the obvious comparison that the Apexes are basically their deviant forms, they could just take the deviant armor sets anyway, because they were super cool. True. Right? True. But yeah, I mean that would be awesome. I do think that is a missed opportunity. Or if you didn't do that, like, Apexes shouldn't just be Lazurite jewels, like Paradise said. Like, it would be nice if they were charms. And I feel like if they do eventually do that, I could see them do it eventually, because there were situations in the past where you could do quests or do things to get charms outside of melding, because, like, you know, it is weird that the only way to get them right now is to just like farm and then put them into the melder, which is just really weird. But I feel like when they do eventually add it, they kind of need to add it and spread it across things, because if they suddenly say like, hey, this is the quest that gives you talisman, suddenly your end game is just going to be, let's do this one single quest for the rest of time. So I feel like
that's basically what it is right now, though.
Yeah, I was literally about to say
to get that stuff, right?
True. I mean, I guess.
While there's not a dedicated quest, that's the next like second best thing as well. So I feel like with investigations, at least you kind of had that random aspect of you going in, and it didn't matter what monster you were hunting. You just had a bunch of chances to get the items that you wanted, and it didn't matter what you were hunting. So it was kind of like a random RNG factor of blah blah blah, just within this tier I'm gonna hunt one of these random monsters based on the investigations that I have, or a monster that I enjoy, or whatever.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, I do think something like that is needed, and it'll be interesting to see how they expand it in like the upcoming updates. Obviously, you know, we've been given decorations now, so obviously, and I think we basically got decorations for almost everything. So you think to yourself, all right, next update comes. They've already said there'll be some story stuff and some monster stuff. So like, you need to sort of think what would be the natural next progression. So I do hope they do something like that. I do hope they do.
I really want to see. Sorry, Shadowmane, you go.
I was just gonna say, I hope they kind of like trickle in. Kind of like something that is akin to like the tempered monsters from World or something like that, just to kind of add a little bit more variety or something.
That's what the Apex monsters are meant to be, though. That's what
they don't kind feel like it.
They don't feel like it, though. Yeah,
that's the. I'm really hoping for some collaborations at some point. That was my favorite thing about World, was all of the different collaborations that you had. You know, the highlight being Extreme Behemoth, at least for me. Like, that was such a cool fight. Actually difficult. Extreme Behemoth was actually a challenge that was like, if you did it, then you know you proved yourself that you could do it. So I really hope that we get some cool collaborations.
Yeah, that needs to. I mean, it better happen. I mean, that's just a staple for Monster Hunter right now. So like that, that much I definitely really want to see.
There's got to be a Zelda one. Come on, it's 25th anniversary for like Zelda and stuff. What else does there need to be? I don't know, another Mario Saturn. I don't know, something cool like Splatoon. Splatoon would be pretty cool as well.
Splatoon could be cool. Yeah. Have a little Hades one or something like that. That would be. I don't know if that's big enough.
Is Hades on Switch?
Hades on Switch. Yeah. The definitive version.
There you go. But like, what did you think of the update, Alex? Because you haven't actually said. All you've said is like little. Stuff.
I've personally like really enjoyed it. I mean, I definitely still like it's you know, having played it now, it definitely amplified what was missing from base, which obviously we kind of knew anyway. It's just kind of, you know, obvious in there. But for me, it's definitely been really cool. I think the decorations have been a big win for me, because although I'm not necessarily always Mr. Min-Max, I did find that I felt myself being pretty restrictive early on. And in fact, actually, I'm super happy with the decorations paired with the layered armor, because it was super restrictive before. I was basically Like, I was basically just wearing the deluxe armor set. Like, all these cool new monsters, all these cool new weapons, all these cool new stuff, and I'm sitting there in my pre-order deluxe armor set just because I can't wear anything else. And I'm just like, this is a crying shame. All these cool monsters, and I have nothing. And honestly, I do genuinely like the, it's giving you a reason to farm. Like, okay, I've got most of the parts, let's be honest. But generally speaking, it's like, okay, cool. Now I've got a few reasons to pursue things. I'm like, I can farm monsters because I need to get decorations. I can farm them for weapons and gear, obviously, and I can farm them for layered armor sets. So much like you were sort of saying before, where you kind of just go out and hunt things for fun. Like, it's just sort of just sending me hunting like random things. I was fighting Tyrannodon the other day because I just needed a part. So I do like that it's given like reason to go back and do some of that stuff. I personally like the Elders. Only just because I hated fighting Teostra and Kushala in World. So I'm fine. I'm out here just styling on them like Metsu Shoryugeki and them out the sky. I was like getting a sick KO on Kushala the other day. And I'm like, this is great. I feel like a badass. Whereas in World, I was like, yo guys, can you help me? So no, I do like that. I do definitely agree though. I want something more than just, because the thing is also, like, I know everyone right now is farming Lazurite jewels for decorations, but obviously the one big problem with that is that is finite. Whereas if you were doing a quest for talisman, you can farm that indefinitely. There will come a point where once you've crafted 6 or 7 attack jewels, 3 mind's eye jewels, 3 crit boost jewels, you don't need to craft any more ever again because you've got them. So there will come a point where once you've made all the decorations you need, you no longer need Lazurite jewels, you no longer need blood run jewels. So that grind is finite.
Which is a scary thing, right? Like in itself. Which is kind of why I preferred that system, just because of that reason. It doesn't mean it is a better system, but like the grind is going to be longer in than it is in Rise, because there's less like RNG there for you to get. I know some people didn't like it because they didn't end up with all of like the decorations, but I prefer a more objective focused you go into the investigations, you get a chance of getting something type grind. I know most people, that's like an unpopular opinion by like far. No one's going to agree with that, but I like that aspect of you coming out of a hunt and then you seeing like your end screen and it has a bunch of like gems and decorations that you've unlocked on that, and everyone's like, oh, what did you get? Oh, I got an attack one, blah 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 blah, that's sick, blah blah blah. We don't really get that with this game because it's more in like the melding and the talismans, which everybody is showing off in their talismans, and it is good that the talismans are there. They both systems have got their benefits as well, right? Because it's like less points of failure with the talismans, more people can get their builds going, everybody can share their builds and people can build their builds. But kind of the old system have this exclusive aspect of, if you played the game and you just grinded the game out, you most of the time had all the decorations that you needed. There was obviously a lot of people that got super unlucky and just didn't get the decorations no matter how much time that they put in. But for me and Paradise and people in the stream, if you did those decoration quests, the majority of the time they had all of the decorations in the game anyway. So
there's a couple things on that. One, they also gave us decorations, like the good ones, at various updates throughout World's lifespan, so that made it a little bit nicer. But also, like, you would go to make a build and it's like, oh, I'm missing 7 decorations, I can't make that build. But as you play, that number like goes down to eventually, oh, I only need 3 decorations to make the build perfect now. And you're sort of puzzling, you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together for that build as you're getting the decorations, whereas your build in Rise, although you're just reliant on that 1 point of failure in the talisman, that talisman can roll with 3, 4, 5 total skill points on it with slots as well. So you have a bigger chunk of your build missing if you don't have the good talisman, and you can't puzzle that together. You either get it or you don't get it, or you get a middle of the road one and have to make do with that,
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like before the game came out, I was very fixated on the like, oh yeah, I prefer the system 100%. But now that I've experienced it in rise compared to the other one. Like, I do still like crafting my decorations more, but it is definitely highlighting a very glaring issue that there will 100% and not too long. It's not even going to be like one of those things like, oh yeah, it's going to take months. Like, you know, I've already got like all my crit boost decorations, all my attack jewels, all my things that for the most part I've got. So, you know, bar like a few really obscure things like, oh, I might decide what I want to get, like all my handicraft decorations or like all the, you know, there's a few obscure ones I haven't got yet, but generally speaking, I've already got everything that I need in that respect. So I would say, and okay, again, everyone's got different paces, right? Some people might be playing it a lot slower, in which case that's completely fine. It might last you a lot longer. If you are sort of like hunting every single day, not even if you're doing it from a content point of view, even if you're just like doing a few quests every single day, like I honestly feel like by the time the May update rolls around, I'm going to have every decoration that I need. So unless they decide to add like more stuff in for skills that maybe haven't been in the game yet, which could be cool, then I think at that point they do seriously need to look at like, oh, what else can we do that will kind of give people something to chase? And I think in that respect it would be, let's put Talisman behind a load of these quests, and then, you know, then that's fine, because then you can, because Talisman is something you can grind indefinitely. Yeah, I think that's so. Yeah. So, but
Yeah,
so I guess
totally
if
agree.
I guess if we look ahead to like May, like what are you guys hoping to see? I mean, obviously, you know, they've said there'll be new monsters, story expansion, the kind of culminations of the story and whatnot, and like just that kind of stuff. So, like Shadowmanes, what are you sort of hoping to see in the May update?
Oh boy. To be honest, it's just more monsters, more diverse monsters. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed with the monster drop that happened. I mean, getting the Apex in a single hump, nice. Getting the 3 returning elders, having Basil come back was super cool. But
Basil.
I feel like there could have been more. And I'm kind of hoping that the May update brings more. And then beyond that, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I don't know what I want for this game. It's been. I think this has probably been my most casual Monster Hunter experience so far.
Okay.
To the point that I don't actually know what I want to make it more casual outside of maybe add something akin to tempered monsters. Maybe add like a bunch of monsters that we can just go back and hunt. Like increase the experience somehow, I guess, is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Talking about Basil, that was the funniest thing. The way that people were fuming about spoilers online. I don't. It's a returning monster. People know what Basil basically is.
Yeah.
And it was at the start of the game anyway. Like, I woke up the next day, saw that Basil was there, and I was just like, this is not even a deal breaker to me as well. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, like, 'cause, no, you're right. You're definitely.
They
you're
didn't
100%.
Introduce him very well.
No.
Basil,
They
the
really
invader, and he doesn't invade you. He's just on a quest there as soon as you launch the update. That was a bit wild, to be honest.
It was kind of funny. Because, like, people obviously said like, oh, if you hadn't completed the game, then obviously you wouldn't know. It's like fair enough. But like for most people, at this point in the timeline, if you kind of got to that point, like people, because I woke up. Bear in mind the update drops at night, and I'm not missing my sleep. Right, sleep is important. So I woke up like 8 hours late, and I see people on Twitter just like, spoilers. I'm like, spoilers for what? I load up the game, and Fugan's like, there's a Basil around. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I'm like, then I go to the quest. It's like your first quest, fight a Basil. I'm like, all right, I guess I know what it is now. You know, so it's like it wasn't even a spoiler. Let's be honest. Like, I think people were getting a bit. The thing is, you know what? Even if it was a returning monster, but if it was a returning monster we hadn't seen for the longest time, like this is just a world monster, right? If you're talking like if they were like, oh yo, Lao Shan's just rocked up in the village, or like Shen Gaoren's locked up in the village, or like Amatsu Magatsuchi is flying above the sky, I'd be like, all right, you know what? I kind of want to see that for myself. That's cool. This is literally a guy that we've seen last year, and he's just showing up again. I'm like, it's not even a spoiler. You know what? I've been in lockdown longer than I've seen Basil, right? I haven't seen my friends in longer than I've seen Basil, right? That's not a spoiler.
It's gonna be a spoiler to some people, but like it's the severity of the spoiler. People were making it out to be worse than it actually was. I don't think it was necessarily as bad as people were making it out to be. Like, people were blaming like content creators for putting it in their like thumbnails, which is a case. Like, people shouldn't. We try to avoid putting it in our thumbnails and stuff like that, but we're not going to send like hate parties towards people to do all of that stuff and whatever. Like, it's that, like, for me, I live my life on YouTube, right? I need to be on social media, but I can avoid spoilers. So it's so wild to me, like, that people get stuff like severely spoiled for them, because I mute. I like just avoid that topic as much as possible. I make sure that I have all of these things in place if I don't want spoilers, and I'm consuming the game in that way where I'm just going in blind. Like that's the same for Final Fantasy, that's the same for Game of Thrones when it was on and the finale was on, even though that ended poorly. It's the same for like anything, right? And you like, yeah, when it's getting spoiled for you, I feel like it's like there's some part that you need to do as a person that's trying to consume that content as well. You need to kind of avoid the situation. Obviously, the content creators and people just posting out, but sometimes not even content creators. It's literally just people posting on Twitter, right? Just be like, "Oh, Basil's in here! Oh my gosh!" And that's how it got spoiled for me. It was just a random on Twitter. Somebody else had liked it. It was there, right? And it wasn't even a spoiler because if I just stayed off of Twitter, I wouldn't have seen it anyway, right? I went out of my way to kind of consume Monster Hunter content that morning. But yeah. I don't know.
I think you're totally right about the severity of it, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, Basil isn't a new monster or even a crazy, like, special monster to be wowed by seeing. Like, we all think Basil's a great fight.
Yeah.
We think Basil's design is awesome.
Team Basil.
Team Basil, yeah. But I don't know, like, if like, Alex, you gave the perfect analogy. If it was a really old returning monster or a completely new monster, then yeah, I would be I would be outraged if someone spoiled it for me, right? But the fact that it's an existing monster that was just in world, and that it's just right there when you open the game, like instantly. But yeah,
I swear, like the same people are watching the videos that are like 4 new monsters revealed, and the stream as well, like where there's like all the pictures and the devs show it off, and it kind of the precedent is set by the developers, right? The developers have shown us like most of the monsters. I wish they didn't, and they kept a bunch of them secret. I wish even the way that they revealed Basil was more so like there was a chance for him to spawn into the quest, and once you get that chance for him to spawn into a quest, then you actually unlock the quest for him, and then you can go and hunt him and farm him as well. So that would even give us a chase. They kind of like do it in demo sometimes. There's like a rare monster that spawns in, like I think it was Nagakuga was one of those ones that had like a rare chance to spawn in.
Yeah.
No, what they should have done, right, is that you load into the village and the village is in ruins, right? And then you see like an acorn in the middle of it, right? And they're like, "Oh, what's happened?" And Fugen is like, "There were bombs dropped everywhere." And it's like, "What?" And then you're like, "Oh, I know this acorn." And then suddenly you hear like, and it just flies in.
40,000 people used to live here.
Yeah, and then you find that like Hello has just been blown up, and everyone's like, "No, how can you do this?" And then, but then it turns out she's.
Honestly, I feel like they should have just introduced them in a Rampage. Like, that would have been the perfect way.
Yeah, true.
You go into this Rampage, you got a mystery monster at the end, you don't know what it is, and then it's just like Apex Basil Goose flying in.
True.
You're like, oh god!
Yeah,
like,
if you had like a chance.
Like a challenger has entered the arena.
Basil Goose!
Dropping everywhere!
That'd be cool. Actually, speaking of Rampage quickly as well, just kind of go back to there, because obviously, I know we've touched on these before. We did the actual like review, and like we've spoken about how Rampages, we enjoy them more casually and stuff. But like looking forward to sort of the future as well, we're talking about ways to try and give people more things to grind. Like, what do you think needs to be done to Rampages to make them more like appealing? Because I feel like a lot of people now they've got a lot of what they want. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like a lot of people are choosing to do Rampages unless they absolutely have to.
Well, you just do them if you get for the parts that you need. Like, you need Apex Blaze Sacks or whatever they're called, right? So you have to do Apex rather than a Rampage.
How would you feel?
Well, also the Defender tickets are really needed for a lot of the ramp-up skills, particularly on the new tree of the Rampage weapons. So if you're making builds with Rampage weapons, you will need the tickets, so you will need to do them.
How would you feel if they were like, the way to farm Talisman now is you get Talisman at the end of Rampages? Do you think people will be like outraged because they'll be like, but I don't want to have to go through, I don't want to be forced
15
through
minutes
Rampages
is
to farm
long,
Talismans.
like, or 10 minutes, or however long it takes. That'd be pretty cool. If you did get locked, then I'll do it. If it was like
yeah. Like if you get an S+ rank and you like tick off all the objectives, and then like maybe for like every objective
each tick is a new talisman.
No, not even like. No, what if it's like for each tick is like 10 talismans? It's like 10, 10, 10. So you can finish it like 50 talisman or something, and then you're like, okay, cool,
That's what I like the sound of that. Give us that.
Okay, maybe it'll be worth it then. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's already kind of like a talisman grinding thing, because I don't know about you guys, but I've used a lot of my defender tickets just to meld talismans because I've got so many of them.
Yeah, I mean that's basically all I've been using them for, to be honest. I forget about the rampage weapons half the time. So
For the Rampage, it's not even what when I heard Rampages, it's not what I had in my mind of like what it would be. Like what I had in my mind, what a Rampage was going to be is like a furious monster, like kind of like those frenzy monsters or whatever, in just an arena. And you know, like in those games, like I think Godfall had it, I think Diablo's got it. All those games where you kind of like climb a tower. On each level, the monster gets like harder and harder.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. I wish they had like one like that in this game where you kind of got like debuffs as well. Like you can't heal for this round or whatever. But the reward at the end was some really good talisman that you could get, right? And people going up to that like higher level. So that you just have
That'd
another
be
thing to
cool.
do, right? And it's just fighting monsters,
right.
and it's got that aspect of just fighting monsters and doing whatever. Maybe that's been in like a
pretty
Monster Hunter game and I've never played that before.
I'm pretty sure. I think I never played it. Correct. So comments can like let me know. But I'm pretty sure I saw footage. I think like Seth was playing at one point. I'm pretty sure Frontier had a tower style thing. Also,
There you go.
I think Monster Hunter Stories 1 had a tower style
There you go.
thing as well. So it's like, yeah, I mean that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. And then you get clapped near the end, and you're like, no.
You know,
So, yeah.
you know what would make the rampages? Because if you after you've done like literally 10 or 20 rampages, it's the same thing again.
Yeah.
Like you know where the defenses are, you know the structure you're going to set them up. 90% of the hunt is you there on a turret, like stunning a monster on the head, and then switching to a cannon to do blights or whatever to get the mini. Like that's just the loop over and over again. If they leaned more into the sandbox aspect of it, like letting you, and also just more variety of like defenses. Like if we could put down, you know, big traps or things that make the monsters turn on each other, or if we could construct our own walls or something like that and make it more sandboxy, maybe that would make it more interesting.
Oh, I've got it. The Paradise Special, right? You know when Rise first came out, people were like, you know what? They're making everything too simple. There's no more hot drinks. You only have to mine once to like get your materials, right? What if they turn it into a survival game where you have a map,
Now
you
we're
have to go out,
talking.
you have to start
Now we're
mining, right?
talking.
You have to start mining for your ores. You have to start like cutting down trees, and then you run back and you have to start building the settlements. If you haven't done enough mining, like you've only got one ballista, and then you've got 10 monsters coming towards you. You're like, no, go get some more wood. How about that?
They can make it work. I love a survival game.
The Paradise Special. But yeah.
Does anyone have any final thoughts on the update? I thought it was like really good. I don't know if it was really good for the wrong reasons, because we've been starved of like content from like what we expected out of the game at the launch, but I enjoyed it for what it is, and I'm continuing to enjoy it. I don't know how much longevity I have in this content, because I feel like I'm getting to the end. I was even talking to Paradise about it. I was like, there's stuff, but I feel like I've experienced most of it and built most of the stuff that I want to build at the moment, and I know what most of the stuff does.
Yeah, I think the take home from that is that like you're 100% right. I guess the one saving grace at the moment is that because the update cadence seems to be relatively close at the moment, because I think I can't remember what the update cadence was for a while, but I know for a couple of them we had to wait like a couple of months. So I think all while they're keeping them like end of May, like I mean we don't know what's beyond May, but like assuming that we get to the May one and they're like there's something coming in June, if they can keep them to the monthly cadence at the moment, which again I understand is not always easy because development takes time. This might just be stuff that obviously they've had banked up, so longer stuff might be longer. If they can keep that cadence for now, I think it'll be okay. But I think it'll become a lot more prevalent if, say, after the May update, they're like, your next update is in August. And then we're like,
Ooh,
then
yeah.
I think that'll be a bit tough. So we'll obviously have to wait and see. But yeah, I echo what you sort of said before as well. I just hope that when the next update, I do hope we at least get, even if it's just like one of the plethora, I hope at least one of them is a new monster. Because I do want to find something. Yeah, I love some of the returning monsters, and there's definitely some returning ones I would love to see again. But I want something new. I just want to be like, I've never seen this before. Then people can be like, yo, don't tell me this. It's a spoiler. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can be quiet.
I really want to see like the story edition.
Oh yeah,
like,
true.
It was so abruptly cut at the end.
Just fall down a hole.
I don't like that I'm on this cliffhanger, and I feel like I need to know what happens so that I can close it and be like, I've done the story. I know what happens.
Even for
you know,
me, who's someone that doesn't really like care about like the story so much in Monster Hunter, like I'm still jarred that the story ended that way. I think most people are. It's just like, what? So it's nice to see that as well. But imagine if the game, Shadowmanes, I'm pitching something to you. All right, you ready for this?
Hit me with it.
Are you ready for this? Imagine if the game released at the end of May. What about that? What do you think of that?
If it released at the end of May with the March or the April and the May content, like if we got everything at the end of May,
yeah.
I would probably be happy with it.
Exactly.
It would be a more complete experience, would it? Like, I don't think you can deny that. Obviously, playing it sooner is really nice, but we were like the story's not finished, and all the elders that were added in this last 2.0, which sort of seemed like they were meant to be in the base game. So I personally think that would have been a really nice way to experience Rise.
Yeah, but they got the game out, right? And we're playing it and we're enjoying it, so it worked out. But I guess the main reason that they probably wanted to release it is because they wanted to get in that like financial year or whatever. But I feel like it would have been a better cohesive product if it was released now as well. And if the issue was COVID, right, having more time to produce it, I don't think anybody would have been mad about like a 2-month delay anyway, right? It would just made the game better. So and it would have made everybody a little bit more safer.
Yeah, I think part of the release date also played into the fact that Stories is releasing in like the beginning.
Yeah, they could push that back as well.
Played into it a bit too. Yeah. I mean,
well, now you got me thinking, his story's going to be like fully complete when it comes to
True.
Please.
True.
God, I hope so. That would be a disappointment if it wasn't. That's the kind of game you want fully complete.
You have to wait for the update for the final boss.
Here's half your story now. Here's half the story later.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's update 2.0. That's some of our thoughts. Again, massive thank you to Shadowmanes for joining us. For those of you guys that are new, make sure you check out Shadowmanes' channel, hit up that sub, check him out on Twitch, all that stuff. 26, do you have a community question? You always like to wrap up the thing with a community question.
So, the community question is going to be one of the questions that we asked today, or that I pitched to you. Would you have preferred Rise launch at the end of May with the 2 updates, or would you have preferred for it to just as it is now and we just get like drip fed? I think both ways have their benefits and whatever, but it's up to you guys. Decide, fight out. Team May, Team March. Go!
Go! So there we have it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you keep it locked for plenty more, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. If you want to catch more from us at Arekkz Gaming, don't forget you can catch the guys 269 and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch weekdays, playing a variety of games. If you guys want to jump in, tune in, watch, and even join in, then make sure you check them out. The links to those are in the description box down below, and of course you can join the Discord to get involved in all of the discussions.